let's talk about the Rings of Power. So we both watched season 1 and season 2. Just for a little background, I watched like the first 5 episodes of season 1 when it first came out, and then dropped it, and then went back. And right before season 2 came out, watched all of season 1, and then watched season 2, which might have been a mistake, but we'll talk about that too. And I think you're kind of similar. You watched a few episodes of season 1, is that right? When it first came out?
I think I watched when it first came out, I watched 3 or 4, maybe, and then stopped.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about season 1 and then dive more deeply into season 2 because it's the more recent one. But yeah, so we'll do no spoilers first. We'll give our thoughts on the seasons and give overall scores, and then we'll give a spoiler warning before we get into spoilers. So, Alex, you want to tell us what you thought about season 1 of Rings of Power?
Sure, yeah. Season 1, I'm still conflicted because there's things I like more and things I like less about season 1. I think I like season 2 more, but I also think season 2 kind of has more problems in a way. But I would give season 1 probably a 4. I think it's below average. I could even go 3, to be honest. The first, maybe, I think it's 8 episodes is total, and the first 4 or 5 episodes are just a drag, man. And not even like a good build-up drag. It's just, I feel like the pacing is off. I feel like it's a little confusing in the sense of just where everything's kind of going, like motivations, like, I don't know. It picked up a little bit towards the end. I did like the last couple episodes, but maybe it's just because something was happening. Yeah, season 1, not my favorite, and I don't know, man. I can't grasp what it is. And I'm not, and kind of to preface this, I am not a huge, like, Lord of the Rings, like, I've never read the books. I love Lord of the Rings, like, the movie, the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I haven't read the book, so I know there's a lot of book readers and stuff that, are 100% against this because it's just not correct. Keep in mind, I don't think you've read the book either, or have?
I've read the Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit back in high school, but it's been a long time. But I haven't read any of the other stuff, none of the Silmarillion or anything, so I don't really have that background either.
Okay, so just keep in mind, like, I might say things that, book readers will say is, wrong, like in the show, but I just don't know about that. So I'm basing this straight up with the show, not comparing it to books or nothing. But even then, 3 out of 10 for the first season. 3 or 4, I should say. I think I said 4 at first, but
yeah,
I'm kind of telling myself 3 now.
You're trying to steal my score? Yeah, because my score for season 1 is a 3. I think it shows that it took both of us who both loved the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. It took us 2 tries to get through season 1.
Yeah.
That's not great. Yeah, it's kind of a mess. The writing is weird. The characters, I don't feel like are handled very well. The time scale of things is weird, and I think it gets worse in season 2, where sometimes it feels like it takes months to get from place to place, but then other times they get there in like a day, and it's just like, what?
That was one of my biggest complaints with season 2.
There are some characters that I like more than others, and some stories that I like a little bit more than others. Some of those character plot points that they're going with are just like such a drag that if any of them show up in an episode, you're like, oh man, this is about to slow way down.
Every Harfoot scene.
Yeah, the Harfoots. Exactly. There were a couple things I liked in season 1. I really liked seeing the like Doran and Elrond. I mean, it's been out for a while, so we can like kind of spoil some things. Like the Durin and Elrond like friendship was really interesting, and I thought that was done pretty well.
Yeah, I like that. That was a positive.
Yeah, I also like Doran and his wife. Why can't I think of her name? Like, I think that's an interesting dynamic that they have.
It's not lore accurate, bro.
Yeah, I know. That's fine. Hey, if something's good in this show, even if it's not lore accurate, I'm like, okay, please give me something good. Like, and I'm not saying it's like great.
I like them too. I agree.
But like how they handled Galadriel, I'm not a big fan of. And is it just me, or is this show like extra cheesy at times?
Oh yeah. Almost like its purpose, is it not? Maybe it's not.
I don't know. I don't think it's supposed to be, but
maybe it's not, but it feels like it should be.
Yeah, some of the lines are like, oh man, it's like you should have spiked the camera lens when you said that kind of cheese. But yeah, I did not think season 1 was good, and I think it shows that we who should be loving this show couldn't even get through season 1 the first time.
Sure, it's been what, 2-3 years since season 1 came out?
Yeah.
We used to have marathons all the time of Lord of the Rings.
Yep, extended
You're
edition.
Right. You're right, and that's saying we couldn't even finish it the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
Like, that is saying something. I didn't think about that. What about season 2? So wait, what was your score?
A 3. So now season 2, I'm a little conflicted on. I'll go ahead and start since you started on season 1. I think there are things that season 2 did better, but yeah, there's just some really weird stuff. They focused on parts that, one, weren't that interesting in season 1, but then 2, they made it way worse. I'm between a 3 and a 4. I think there's one thing in season 2 that I think makes it better, and if they would have focused on it more and done a few things differently, I think it could have been good. But I guess I'll go with a 4, although I'm between a 3 or 4, so I still think it was below average. The writing is not great. All the characters do weird things to make the plot work, and it's really cheesy. I felt like season 2 was even cheesier than season 1 in some parts.
Yeah.
And it also, they spent so much money on this show, and it just doesn't feel like it.
No. Well, there's moments I feel like it does.
There are moments where I could see it, but like it's just kind of ruined by the fact that there's no real weight behind it because the story is just so, lackluster.
Like, So I enjoyed this season more. This is where, when I said I was conflicted, I am conflicted too, because there's season 2 mostly. Because I do think I enjoyed it more in the sense of it wasn't as boring.
Yeah.
For me, it wasn't. Like, I was actually watching it pretty quick. I'm like, okay, I'll keep watching. But there's other stuff that made me kind of more mad or just confused, which we can get into spoilers, because there is a lot. And I was thinking this when I was watching the show, and it was distracting me. Like, that's how much I was thinking about it. Which is bad in the show.
Yeah.
It's like you said, just the time. I can't figure out time in this world. I really can't. To the point where I was so confused, like, how is this happening? There's a whole plot line, which I think this is what you're saying, hinting at. Like, I actually enjoyed elements of it, but there are some parts that are so stupid. This season, I think the difference is this season pisses me off more, but season 1's just more boring. So what do I like more?
That's an interesting way to put it, yeah.
I think I still like season 2 more just because there is pretty good action. The last couple episodes, while some stuff ruins it, at least was kind of cool. It kind of felt like Lord of the Rings, you know, like, kind of.
Yeah.
But then there was parts of that where it just pissed me off too, which we can get in. Okay. I'm going to say 4. The first one I dropped down to 3 because I talked myself into it, and this one I give a 4.
Okay. Yeah. So we're pretty...
I just can't get into more. I can't get into more without spoiling things. The more I'm talking about it... See, this is what happens with me, is I kind of enjoy it a little bit while I'm watching it, and I start talking to you about it, and I start realizing, wait a second.
Yeah, like when you start to think about something deeper and stuff doesn't make sense, there's issues there for sure, yeah.
Yeah, but we just need to get into spoilers. So honestly, the show's... both of our views, below average. I think the second season was watchable, at least, if you want to get pissed off.
I agree that it wasn't as boring, but yeah, there were definitely some issues.
I watched season 2 faster. I don't know, maybe it's because I was just in the groove of it. No, that's not true, because season 1, even when I rewatch, season 1 was boring, man. Yeah. Season 2 at least could freaking get through. But
that's why I said it was kind of a mistake to rewatch all of season 1. I should have just started the episode I left off and been a little confused at some things, because man, that made it was so boring rewatching it.
Well, maybe you wouldn't be confused because they always start some episodes with characters in random spots, like, how'd you get here?
That's true.
There's some moments I'm like, am I on the right episode? But
anyways. That's not great. All right, let's get into spoilers. So, spoiler alert for season 2 of The Rings of Power.
I don't even know where to start.
Let's start with, what do you think was the best thing about season 2? Because I have something in mind. So
I think the scenes with Lord Celebrimbor and Sauron, I don't know what they called him.
Anatar, Anatar and Celebrimbor.
So I think their scenes are the best scenes, but I also think those scenes are one of the most frustrating scenes because I just don't understand. Maybe I'm dumb. I don't understand how no elves can go and warn this town, or so I don't know. Like, how far apart is these lands? But it seems like I just don't. This is where I just don't get. How does no one know or been told? Or is there no one else in power in that? What's the town, or Arranor or something like that? Aragon. Like, I just don't understand. How does I don't... Yeah.
I agree, because even at the beginning of the season, like, it starts with Elrond and Galadriel having a full tilt race to get the rings to, I think it's Eregion, or maybe to Lindon from Eregion, and so it makes it seem like, they can just, sprint there, so it seems pretty close. And
Galadriel knows! She knows! Why doesn't she just go spout it to the world? Why is she so secretive about this crap?
Well, and the thing is, she told Celebrimbor, don't trust Halbrand. And then he trusts Halbrand. And like, yeah, there are just some things where it's like, wait, why is he going along with this?
He did say, like, I think I knew deep down, but I was just enthralled with this lust kind of thing. But
Yeah.
but the biggest thing for me is, I feel like this show, why did they have Galadriel? No, they should have had her just have suspicions, and everything. It would have at least explained how no one's like our complaint, how no one why isn't she sending troops and armies there? Like, what's, like, at least that if she didn't know and she had suspicions, people could just be like, no, you're crazy. Look at him. He's such a nice guy. He's helping us out.
Yeah.
He's the Lord of Gifts.
It
What
would
are
have
you
made
talking about? It's not
more
Sauron.
sense for sure.
Yeah, and I just don't get the time. I don't get the time lapse. Like, how long does it take to get between these
Linden and
cities?
Eregion, or Eregion and Khazad-dûm. Yeah, it seems like however long the writers needed to.
Khazad-dûm, like the dwarves travel there like 2 episodes, like nothing. Oh, the rings is making my dad go crazy. Okay, I'm back in Khazad-dûm. Or like even what's his face, Elrond. He's like randomly goes to Khazad, at least in the first season. It doesn't seem like it's that far. And if they can get there that fast, and people there can get to
Eregion.
Yeah, Eregion. If the dwarves can get there fast, and Elrond can get to Khazad-dûm fast, then shouldn't we go straight to Eregion to warn about Sauron?
Yeah. And at one point, Elrond and a group of elves leaves Linden to go to Eregion. And they're just like walking through the forest all chill. It's like, you guys couldn't have taken horses, or like, I mean, you raced that path against Galadriel. You obviously can't take horses. Like, I don't know. And then they get blocked by the bridge being broken. And it's like, okay, this whole timeline is weird.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Because, and Galadriel knows that he's Sauron. Why isn't she like, we need to get there fast, guys. Like, let's freaking go. I know she's a little corrupted by the ring, maybe. I just don't. Not corrupted,
by the
but
deceiver. Like, they made it a point multiple times that once you've been deceived by Sauron, you basically can't trust yourself, and you could always be corrupted again.
Was there supposed to be some like romance between Sauron and Galadriel?
Kind of felt like they were, hinting at that, which I do not care for.
No, and again, this is lore breaking, because Galadriel was supposed to have like a husband and kid at this point, I think, from what I've read.
Celeborn, I think, yeah.
Yeah, which isn't he? He's like an important character, isn't he?
I think so, yeah. From what I remember.
Her husband?
He's there in the movies in Lothlorien, I think.
Yeah, and I read somewhere that showrunners are bringing him into the show.
Okay.
But, like, it's going to be season 3. How is he not in the show yet?
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyways, taking away even lore crap, it's still...
I feel like this show makes me appreciate Lord of the Rings, because, like, they make this world feel so small.
Yeah.
Like, in Lord of the Rings, it's like this expansive place, and there's so many things and so many characters, and even just like so many like side actors. And
it's a journey, man.
Yeah.
It's like,
and it takes them forever to get places, and it shows the journey. But in this one, it's like there are 2 towns with like 2 places. Sets. There's like 3 background actors in each place. It feels so tiny.
As much as I love the Sauron and Celebrimbor scenes, it's all in the tower. Like, I felt like I'm watching a TV show. Like, this is just, well, it is a TV show, but like a cheap TV show.
Yeah.
Not the most expensive TV show ever. Like, it's literally, where's that? I know nothing about that town when it fell.
Eregion was like 2 sets. It was like inside the tower and then just outside the tower, and then everything else was like CG.
Like, how are we supposed to feel
Sweeping
like
shots.
bad or anything with the battle at the end? You know, like,
I do think Celebrimbor did, like, there were some parts where I felt genuinely bad for him. Like,
oh, he had it the worst, man.
Yeah, and his actor was good. I felt like his actor did probably one of the best
I liked
jobs.
him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought he was the best too, and I thought the acting was good. And I thought, like, his story, I actually did feel kind of tragic. Like, God, like, he's being deceived, almost prisoner. Like, it was kind of scary. Like, that's the first time I felt Sauron as scary, in a sense of not just like a monster. You know, he's like trapping this guy, which to me is terrifying.
That is. Yeah, he did some pretty messed up stuff to Celebrimbor.
Like, homeboy, like, pretty much lost his mind.
There was one thing they did with that, though, that I think could have made it so much better.
What?
So this is getting a little bit into the lore that I've just like read about online and stuff, but it makes total sense, and I have no idea why they changed it. Why did they make the elves' rings first? Because in the lore, they make the humans and the dwarves, and then Celebrimbor makes the elves on his own, and then keeps it from Sauron, and that's why he freaks out and Like, it just would have made so much more sense. I don't get why they had to
That's
change
true.
that. And, like, the elves are the only ones not corrupted, so it makes sense that Sauron would have the least amount of, like, influence on those. And, yeah, it's just...
Because he didn't finish the rings with them, right?
Yeah,
He
because...
left before they finished the rings.
Right. And, like, when
Which is still dumb,
she's,
though.
like... When Galadriel's, like, taking the Rings of Men away, we know as an audience, if you watch Lord of the Rings, like, Sauron gets those. We know that.
Yeah.
Like, we know how this is going to end. But if it was the elf ones, we wouldn't have known that.
Yeah.
We would have been left in way more suspense. Like, there's just... I just don't understand it.
I think you hit on the nail. There's like the suspense with some of the characters we obviously know live and
Yeah.
don't live, but you could still make it suspenseful.
Yeah, true. They did do some, like, oh, is Galadriel going to die? And I'm like, well, obviously
God,
no.
Like, oh, I was so shocked. Like, God, she's dead. Yeah, right. There's zero suspense in that fight, man.
Yeah.
Zero suspense.
Yeah, that fight was not great.
I know we've talked negative, but there are some things I like. Like, I thought the first episode, actually, I think it was the very first scene was pretty cool, showing after Sauron got, like, betrayed and stabbed by all the orcs and his, like, little whatever the heck he is.
The symbiote
It's not
Sauron.
yeah, pretty much, yeah. Just kind of going around and attached. I thought that was kind of, like, cool. Like, it was, I don't know, I thought it was pretty creepy cool. Like I said, I thought some of the action was cool. So as pointless as his character is, what's that elf's name?
Arondir.
Arondir?
Yeah.
As pointless as I think he is, I thought his fight scene, like, he's a cool fighter. Like, he's pretty cool in the sense of just, like, kind of like he almost feels like a rogue elf, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought the best scenes were probably, like you said, the dwarves and Khazad-dûm or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, and at least their storyline connected to the Rings of Power, unlike some of the other storylines.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of more positive. I thought some of the battle was cool at the end. Like, it was kind of cool for moments and ruined by other moments.
Yeah. Like
the build-up was kind of cool.
Had some cool fight scenes. It had flashes, but there were definitely some things that ruined it.
Yeah, but definitely, like, there's definitely moments that I was like, okay, this is cool. Finally, we're getting something that feels like Lord of the Rings, kind of randomly in, like, a minute increment.
Mm-hmm. Some of the reveals of, like, how Anatar or Sauron was, like, manipulating Celebrimbor, like, when you find out he's in an illusion and it, like, all fades away. That was a cool moment.
You could even see, like something, like a monster in flames. I don't know if you caught that in one of the episodes.
Yeah, the Balrog, I think.
Yeah, well, no, I mean... Oh, no, with Sauron. There's a scene where, like, I think it was after that lady elf was being deceived.
Okay.
Or she put on the ring, and she saw, like, a monster or whatever. Obviously, it was Sauron, and it shows she's standing next to, like, a flame, and for a split second, you could see, like a monster, or, like, I think it's, like, Sauron's true form or something.
Oh, yeah.
I'm about to find that scene for you.
Yeah, I'm not sure I caught that.
I caught that, and I was like, okay, that was kind of cool. It was, like, a split second.
Yeah.
Like, you could have literally looked down for a second and missed it.
Yeah. Possibly what happened.
Yeah, I thought the Sauron scenes were pretty good. I'm trying to think of more positives.
Okay, let's talk about the best part of this whole series. What do you think about the stranger and his eventual...
I don't know, the fact we hardly brought this stuff up.
The reveal. Yeah, the grand elf.
I think two things, and you hit it on a nail. I think I just don't understand the scope of this, because in season 1, they're at the very end, the stranger and freaking Frodo wannabe, she's like, we're going on an adventure. We're gonna travel these lands, and like season 2, it's just desert and going in circles.
Yeah.
And then they split up, and he finds what's his name, Tom or whatever. Which I actually did like those scenes. Those are actually some scenes I did like too. Actually,
it's interesting. There were some interesting parts, but he didn't feel like Tom Bombadil to me. But
no, well, I don't. Like, I have almost no knowledge of it.
Right.
So like for me, he was at least a character that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And I liked the little song. But yeah, no, that's we all know he's freaking Gandalf. Like, come on, you don't have to build suspense for 2 seasons.
Yeah,
my lord,
that was. Silly.
Isn't it obvious? Especially at the beginning of the season when those things were like, oh, it's the other wizard, it's not Saruman. Like, okay, well, clearly, why didn't you just say the name there?
Yeah, I don't get that. It dragged on forever, and like.
And why are the Harfoots in this? I don't get it. Are they just trying to throw in hobbits to find the Shire, or just to make us happy, or what?
Yeah, it kind of seems like they just wanted more connections to the movies, so they threw in.
Because it's literally Frodo and Sam in female version. Like, literally. She even looks like a girl version of Frodo.
Yeah, and a girl version of Sam. And the Sam wannabe even had a Sam, like, quote, inspirational quote at the end of the season, just like Sam does.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, what's her name? Poppy, right? Is it Poppy?
Yes, yeah, because it's
Nori and Poppy.
Yep.
Yeah. I think they're just trying to like you're right. Like they're gonna find like the Shire, right? That's gonna be like the lands they're talking about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But my thing is, what does that have to do with the rings of power? Yeah,
it doesn't. I think the main thing they're trying to do is show why Gandalf likes hobbits, maybe. Like, if I were to make an argument for it, I would say, like, he has a very soft spot for hobbits, and this makes sense why, but it's not worth 2 seasons of dragging us through boring scenes.
Well, and, like, does Gandalf do they need to even be in the show? Do they have anything with the actual rings of power until later on?
Yeah, not yet.
I don't know the books or anything, but, like, do they have any important plot points for at this point in time in the lore?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because, I mean, obviously they get involved eventually, clearly, like you see in the movies. But, like, up until this point, like, what about, they weren't, like, in the battle, you know, at the beginning of Lord of the Rings, you know, what's that battle? The one that showed at the very beginning?
Yeah, I forget the name of it, but the one where
Sauron gets his, where Sauron gets his, that where their whole ring thing, like, they're not there, so, like, do they have anything up to this point?
No idea.
I don't know. I'm curious. If you know in the comments, let us know, because we clearly don't. But it doesn't feel like it's connected right now. It just feels like they're trying to be like, oh, look, it's Gandalf. Oh, look, these are hobbits that aren't quite hobbits yet, and they're going to find the Shire. So I think that storyline's completely pointless, and every time that storyline came on, I knew it was going to drag.
Yep.
Oh, you got the staff chooses you. Oh, look at Tom's wearing Gandalf's hat he's eventually going to get.
There was that part where he's like, the staff chooses you. It felt so Harry Potter. I was expecting Tom to go like, you're a wizard, Gandalf.
And then they found those little hobbits. I don't even know what they're called in the desert area. And it's like
stores or something. Yeah.
Stores, yeah. I just, none of that was interesting to me. It's like, and then Poppy, or not Poppy, well, Poppy too, but Nori and Gandalf go their separate ways. It's like, what was the point of going on this dang adventure?
Also, yeah, at the beginning,
you didn't do anything.
The same thing kind of happened. Like, they split off from Poppy, and then Poppy just shows back up again in episode 1. It's like, what is the point?
Didn't she just say, like, she's coming to check on him or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought, and then she just stays. She never said, like, oh, I came to join you on your journey. She's just like, oh, I just came to check how you doing.
It's so silly.
And also, like, again, the time, like, haven't they been walking for a while? How'd she catch up? I know she's a navigator or whatever, but I don't know. And I guess they were lost in the desert. I don't know. It just feels so small.
Yeah.
Like
it really does.
They were going to go on this grand adventure, and they just were in this desert spinning around for half the episodes and split up half the episodes.
So there's one more thing that I thought got ruined even more in season 2 than in season 1, and we haven't even talked about it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
One more thing that got ruined.
One more, like, big storyline.
Is it this, is it the other main storyline they try to focus on?
Yeah, and we haven't talked about it once.
Out of Middle-earth? Yeah,
the Númenóreans. Yeah. What happened there? They turned Númenor from, like, this beautiful, majestic place to just a place filled with a bunch of assholes. Oh my goodness.
I don't know. They just, like, you're right. Like, I don't, that storyline, the whole storyline just flipped.
Yeah, like, they made Ar-Pharazôn and his son just so unlikable.
Why did they do that? Was the actress, were some people not available or something? Because it just seemed like it flipped a switch. Like, was the queen lady just not, like, because she's not being in a lot of episodes, so like, oh, we got to make some conflict here. I don't know. It just fell off.
Yeah, I felt like the weakest episode was episode 3 of season 2, where they focused a lot on Númenor, and it was that episode where, like...
Yeah.
Okay, can you explain to me what happened with that giant eagle that apparently made Pharazôn king? Like, that just showed up there, and they're like, oh, that's a king. And it's like, what? Oh, okay.
I knew they were setting that up, too, because, you know, earlier, like, oh, well, it's so rare, the eagle's not going to show up.
Yeah.
It's been eons or whatever. But I don't understand how he just happened to walk up to the eagle. What if someone else walked up to the eagle?
I know. It's so weird.
It's not like the eagle like came up to him and like freaking yapped at him.
It's at Muriel's coronation. Wouldn't that make us showing up even more proof that she should be queen?
To her? What if she was standing at the balcony? Would she have been the one that everyone's like, oh, she's the chosen one?
And then she survives that sea monster thing, so they're all like, oh, yay, she's queen again. Mm-hmm. And then Pharazôn shows one dude one piece of paper, and he just goes, Sauron, and then she's not queen again. Like, what proof does he have? Just a piece of paper that says Sauron?
I feel like this whole... I don't get this either, because where is this going? Because
Yeah.
The son, which that dude, that was one scene I actually was surprised by, because he's like, at least he's not a character, he's a new character, is that the captain kid, the guy that's super loyal to the queen, and the kid stabbed him, the son stabbed him.
Yep.
I was actually shocked by that scene.
Yeah.
And I actually thought that was like a more intense scene, but it's because it's the characters we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually, as much as like he didn't do anything, I actually kind of liked him. Probably because he's like only the one like on that storyline that's loyal and cool.
Has some redeeming qualities, yeah.
Yeah. So like I was actually shocked by that death.
Yeah.
But I think it's more so it's like, why are you killing one of the few characters I like in the storyline?
Yeah, true. And like Elendil's daughter got so bad.
Oh, don't get me started on that girl. Oh my god. Oh, dude, that's like, it was like just a random bad too. It's like, holy hell, you turn this a sweet, innocent girl to like probably one of my most hated characters in the show.
Yeah.
Like,
she
horrible.
was either really dumb or like really disloyal. It was bad.
She's awful. I do like Captain Elendil. I feel like he's supposed to be, like the what's the guy from Game of Thrones?
Oh, Ned.
Yeah, he's supposed to kind of be like the Ned.
Yeah,
I feel like. So I like him, but like at the same time,
he
didn't get to do much.
Yeah, he's the righteous, like loyal, knows what's right and follows that.
Yeah, he's gonna like go back to Middle Earth and kind of claim his. Was that the sword that in Return of the King that he grabbed?
Yeah, it's the one that cuts the ring off Sauron's finger. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Narsil.
Is he the one who does that? Do you know?
Isildur does.
Isildur, that's right, because he technically wouldn't be alive.
Well, I think Elendil is in that battle. I think he might die in that battle, maybe? Someone in the comments can let me know if I'm wrong. But then, like, the sword gets broken, and then when Isildur
the sword gets broken.
faces him, he, like, grabs the shard part, or, like, the broken blade, and cuts his finger off.
But he still might be in that fight. I just don't know, like, I'm very bad with, like, the timeline. I don't know, like, who's in that battle, or... I don't know a lot of the big lore.
I think the ones we know in that battle are, like... I think Gil-galad is in it, Elrond, obviously, Isildur, and Elendil are, like, the main ones.
So, we could talk about Isildur. So, how do you feel about his character? He's such a big part, doing that, but do you feel like... Like, he obviously is the one who cut the finger off, like you said, but in the show, does he feel like such an important character? He doesn't to me. He got a little more focus this season, which I liked.
I feel like season 1, he was way more, like, whiny, and I didn't really care about him. This, I mean, obviously I know what they're setting him up to do, and, like, seeing him as younger and kind of not as mature is kind of interesting, but yeah, right now he just, like, his whole love situation with that wildling woman is like, I don't really care. We didn't even talk that there were Ents in the season, and like, so a lot of his stuff is just kind of in the background so far.
Yeah, but I will say, like, I didn't dislike him.
Yeah,
this season.
I agree.
I thought his character definitely improved, and like you said, with the love interest thing, but as far as like a character outside of that,
I did like his talk with Theo about Theo's mom. I thought that was a kind of touching scene.
So that lady just couldn't be in the season, right? They just randomly kill her off. Yeah,
that was confusing, but I read that she wasn't coming back, so they just killed her off screen.
I figured because she was such a she was like in every episode. I feel like in the freaking last season. That makes sense. I will say that whole storyline too, which I guess is kind of interconnected with the other storyline. It kind of felt pointless too right now, like the Isildur and with that. Who are those people? The remaining of the Southland people?
Yeah, the Wild Men, I think, is who they are.
Yeah,
or the men of the Southlands.
But it kind of felt. It still feels disattached to like what does this have to do with the Rings of Power right now? I know you're setting up Isildur and stuff, but still.
I also don't understand, this is just kind of a smaller thing, like why did the Númenóreans take Isildur back to Númenor if like his dad's on the run I guess his sister's there and kind of in power, so I guess maybe, but like, I don't know. That just seemed weird. I don't know what they're doing with that.
I guess he doesn't know his dad's escaped, but I'm like...
Yeah, would you want to go back? I
was gonna say, would you want to go back, or I thought, I mean, maybe, I guess you do. You don't. I guess you didn't see what's kind of been going on, but he kind of told you, like, this little scumbag. But that storyline, yeah, you're right. We saw Ents. I mean, I guess kind of interesting, kind of cool. I guess
they're not Treebeard. I'll say that.
No, Treebeard. Yeah, that was. What else do we see? We did see. What's the thing you mentioned earlier in Khazad-dûm?
The Balrog.
Yeah, the Balrog, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, I did think it was cool.
I know I was reading that that's not supposed to happen until way later.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're kind of fast timing this timeline. It's kind of cool. Like the Khazad-dûm is, to me, is the coolest part to see because we know it.
Yeah,
and like it's kind of cool seeing the Balrog. Like we know this evil's lurking down here, so it's just kind of eerie, you know.
Yeah, I thought that was also a pretty strong point of the season up until the end. I have a few gripes with the end that I guess we'll talk about now. So it was, I liked the tension between Durin and his father, and I thought that was good, and his father going a little crazy with the rings. Kind of interesting, and awakening the Balrog, that's interesting. Lore stuff aside, like, yeah, that could be cool. But then it seems like, okay, so the father, Durin, does his, like, jump to fight the Balrog, which in slow motion, which, yeah, it looked pretty cool, but, I mean, what are you going to do? It seemed like a pretty dumb idea.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't feel like they take the Balrog as a serious threat, because now they're talking about, oh, your brother's going to try and take the throne.
Yeah.
Durin looks at the ring like he kind of wants to use it, and I'm like, wait, you just were going on about how you should never use it, and then no mention of the Balrog. Like, it just, I don't know. It feels like they have to put it on the back burner now because it's supposed to be later. Yeah, I don't know.
If they don't do it, I will say this. If they, this is supposed to be like a 5-season thing. If like the Balrog doesn't come up again, and this is just like a cool little thing, like, oh look, it's the Balrog, and they don't do anything with it, then this is dumb.
Yeah.
Now, if they like actually show the downfall of like Khazad-dûm and stuff, then that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But like, you're right though. Like, just because some rocks fell down and sealed the little part of the hole, like you saw that thing. You think that thing's can like not
can't get through a
few rocks?
Yeah.
Like it could, if there's a tiny hole, I'm pretty sure it can whip up a bigger hole.
Yeah.
That was weird. I didn't think about that. They never even mentioned the Balrog. Like, did none of them be like, guys, there's like some freaking demon thing down there.
We should be worried.
You guys still want to, you guys still want to live here?
Yeah, maybe we find a different mountain. Okay.
If I saw that thing, I'd be like, I'm out. Peace. We'll find a different home. Like that thing, they saw it. Like they saw the whole demon-looking thing. It's not like they saw a glimpse of it. Like they saw that thing kill his father. It looked cool, like you said. Maybe the dad was just like so corrupted. He's like, I'm done for it. I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
But did he think like it wasn't even like he was trying to save his son? Because how did he think that was gonna save his son?
He
didn't know that was gonna drop the rocks and seal the hole.
That was silly.
Or how are you supposed to know like him clashing with the whip thing is gonna cause some big explosion?
Yeah, I don't know.
It looked cool.
I will say, though, it makes me appreciate how good Lord of the Rings looked, because, like, it looked basically the same as Lord of the Rings, and it
was in 2001.
Yeah, 23 years later, and they made it look that good in 2001. That's crazy.
It's insane how much Lord of the Rings holds up. I mean, a lot of it is because they actually use extras and special effects, whereas the Hobbits, it's all CGI.
Mm-hmm.
The Hobbits aged obviously worse than Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, Lord of the Rings looks real and gritty and, like, really dirty good. And, like...
It looks real.
Oh, yeah, it looks real. Yeah, and this... I will say this, to me, actually kind of looks better than The Hobbit.
Yeah. Probably just because
for being a TV show.
Yeah. It might age just as bad. We'll see.
I mean, it probably will. I will say some of the battle looked good.
Yeah.
Like I could tell they used some extras instead of just CGI orcs. At least they used like actual people in orc suits,
That's true.
Or makeup, because in The Hobbit is all CGI orcs, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. One last thing. I think this is the last thing I'll bring up as something that I wish they would have done better. And it happened a couple times. I wish they would have shown Sauron being manipulative more instead of just the effects of it. And my biggest gripe with that is the orcs turning on Adar. Like, that was so sudden. They'd been like They call him Adar, father. I feel like we need a little bit more to be like, okay, this whole army is going to turn on him. I need to see that instead of just being like one scene where they finally meet Sauron and then it cuts.
It's like, what's your name?
Yeah.
I think he asked him, what's your name? And like, oh, he actually cares. He wants to know my name.
And then he kills
That's
him.
all we saw pretty much.
Yeah.
And I actually liked Adar. I thought they did a good job showing him actually caring. You could see him kind of tearing up when they're burning bodies.
I thought that actor was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Like, I thought he was good, and I thought I liked his scenes, a little bit of his scenes he's in. Oh, we got to talk about the final battle before we stop, because there's some things that bothered me.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, one other negative. I know we're talking a lot of negatives, but I just can't. Maybe this is lore accurate. I don't know. But the whole, with the dwarves and his wives, the whole singing thing was so stupid to me. Oh my God. It looked so cheesy. Like when she was sitting down there, trying to stop them, and then she starts singing. I'm like, what the hell is she trying to do? And some bats go down and scare them away.
Yeah, that was a silly plan too.
I'm like, this is just weird. Again, I don't know. Maybe that is something dwarves do, but it looked cheesy.
Yeah. I agree.
I thought that was so weird, dude. But that was, that was a little nitpick. But no, so the final two battles. So I literally just finished this, the other night. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty fresh in my mind. And so the end of episode 6 ended with them, throwing the fireballs, and that was the end of the episode. Like, oh, the battle's gonna start, and I was pumped. And then the next episode, I think it started with Celebrimbor and Sauron talking, which is fine. But so my problem with this battle. It starts off cool, right? You're pumped and everything, but it just feels so, I don't know how to explain it. Disjointed, the way they did it, which I think part of it's intentional, because obviously with Celebrimbor in his mind, and I actually really liked those scenes, and that's what I liked with Sauron, is him kind of manipulating him into, that's what you can see more of Sauron doing. He was literally playing with his mind and telling him everything's okay, finish these rings, you're fine, and he started to figure out, wait a second, I'm in a time loop.
Yep. That's what we needed to see more of, for sure.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. This is interesting. The whole town around him is going crazy, and he goes and walks outside, and it looks like a beautiful day, paintings outside. Elves are painting, and to me, that's terrifying. That's more terrifying than the battle. I couldn't imagine you're stuck in a time loop. You're being controlled by some whatever Sauron is, God.
Yeah,
I thought those scenes were good. And the actual battle was okay. But there was a scene where Elrond was charging with the elves.
Yeah.
And again, they're about to go into battle, and then they show the orcs show Galadriel, and they just stop. And
yeah.
And it was just it looked so weird. I'm like,
it did.
This is so epic. We're going into battle, and they just stop. And then they walk into the camp and they talk, and then they let them walk back out and go back to their army. I'm like, what's going on?
Way to kill all the momentum. Yeah.
Yes, I was literally like, yes, finally, we're getting that cool shot where you get, reinforcements are running, they're charging, and then just nothing. And then not only that, they walk into the camp and have a full conversation, and then they let them leave.
And then there's that kiss, and then you just know that he gave. I felt it's obvious he gave Galadriel something to get out, and yeah.
I thought all the orcs saw him take that thing off. He wasn't subtle about it.
Yeah, true.
He just grabbed something from his cloak. I'm like, oh, okay, well, and then the orc's he has no weapons. Did no one see? He turned his body a little bit, but come on.
Yeah, that was silly.
I thought that from that point on, it just killed the battle for me. I'm like, okay, nothing's cool is going to happen, because if they're stopping this epic moment, they're not going to do this epic moment again.
Yeah, and they tried to do, one big part of the battle was when the troll showed up, and I just felt like that fell so flat. The troll killed one orc. And
the troll was actually cracking me up. I was laughing.
That's
the way you just grabbed the bodies. And wasn't it? Were you? The way he was grabbing bodies and just talking and stuff, it was cracking me up. I'm like, is this a spoof? I will say there was one scene in the battle I thought was really cool, and finally, it was literally 30 seconds. After the elf shoots and explodes the thing, and Elrond and the king are fighting, there was no music. It was just them fighting in a battlefield. They didn't cut away for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then it stopped. That was the only time in that whole battle I'm like, this feels like Lord of the Rings. I'm seeing Elrond and the king fight. There's no music. It feels gritty. There's chaos. It's not cutting away. And then that was it. I don't even know if you know what scene I'm talking about, but
No, I do. I remember that. Yeah, that was cool, but it was really short.
Yeah, I'm like, finally, they're showing like just the no, because I remember Lord of the Rings specifically. You know how they do the freaking battles.
Mm-hmm.
It starts off grand, and then it kind of you get claustrophobic, and you're with them in the battlefield fighting. There's no music. It's
Chaos.
yeah, it's chaos, and I only got that for a second with the battle, and so all these negatives. So I'll say one last thing: all these negatives, all these complaints, and I still gotta admit, like I was entertained this season. I'm not gonna lie. I know I gave it a 4, which in our scale is almost average. It's right below average. I was still entertained, man. I gotta admit, like I still wanted to turn on the next episode.
I kind of agree, although I did have a problem. I watched up through episode 7, and then you got like sick and weren't watching it, and I was like, I don't really want to finish this, so I waited like a month to watch episode 8.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, I mean, it was more entertaining than season 1.
You know what I think it was for me?
I'll give it that.
I think it's because I started it right after season 1, and for me, like I said, season 1 was just so boring. So at least this season, even though things pissed me off, at least I was like, I had some emotion.
That's true.
There was something. I don't know.
You felt something, yeah.
I felt something, which is better than feeling nothing. Like season 1. God, season 1 was so boring. The only cool episode of season 1 was the whole volcano episode exploding. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's kind of it.
That's pretty much it.
But here's hoping season 3 will be better. But
we'll
it's not
see.
better by now. It's not. But we'll see. Hey, maybe you could pull up Picard. I don't know if you ever watched Picard.
No, I didn't.
First 2 seasons were straight trash, and the 3rd season's like gold. So you never know.
Okay, well, we'll see. I hope so, but yeah, I doubt it. Like, this should be
I did read
amazing.
they got new writers, but they have the same
please.
showrunners, so I think the higher ups are still the same. So it'll probably be. You know what the sad part is I do think the action is cool. Like if they could like I don't know have better writing
and make us care a little more. Yeah,
make us care a little more. Like the only character I care about is Elrond, and you obviously we know like.
He's fine by Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Obviously, we know he's fine, but to me, he's my favorite character. I think his actor can sometimes be a little wooden, but I think that's like what elves are supposed to be. I like his character, especially when he's associating with the dwarves. Like I just love their friendship.
I agree. And Durin,
but he's probably my favorite. Yeah, Durin and him are probably my 2 favorite characters. Which I feel like that always is with Lord of the Rings. So the elf and the dwarf.
Yeah, true.
But and one last thing I'll say too is I think I keep going back to it, but I think you're right. Just the scale, like it feels like we're watching 3 set pieces. Like it feels so small.
Yeah, it really does.
Like, and it just baffles me because you're right. When we watch Lord of the Rings, like my God, it felt exhausting watching in a good way. Like you're happy they finally made it to Mordor and
after so long.
Riven.
Yeah.
Yes, after so long, like it was. You could feel the journey, man. And this one, it's like they just pop up everywhere. You don't feel the journey. Like, I don't know. And I think that is a big thing. Like, I really do feel like that ruins the immersion and the enjoyment because we're not feeling the dread. We're not feeling the journey. I don't know. Like, everything's too easy and convenient. It's just bad. Below average, man. Okay, we gave enough time to this thing.
Yep. Okay.